Steve Chewin, MMA Mania.
All right, Bubba, you're on with Steve.
Hey, Bubba, it's good to talk to you again. It's been a couple of years. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you doing, boss?
Pretty darn good. I mean, it's been quite a ride for you over the last year and a half. When we last spoke, you were just making your Bellator debut, and now you've reeled off 4 wins in a row, and you're on the verge of a title shot.
It feels amazing. And like you said, it's been a long road coming, but I'm prepared for it. My mindset has been different. My physical ability to fight has been different, and it's changed in each way, in each practice, in each fight. I've developed, and I've come to the point where I'm ready to go. I'm physically and mentally and spiritually ready to be a champion, ready to put my style and grace on showcase.
Bellator is putting that style and grace on showcase because they put together a video package for you in focus. So that's going to be a new experience for you, getting to be the feature in a profile video package.
Absolutely. Everybody's been talking about that thing, man, and I only got to see a glimpse of it. I really haven't got to see what everyone has been seeing, but apparently it's gotten a lot of love. It's gotten a lot of people talking about me, and my phone was blowing up, and I really couldn't figure out or understand why, but I've done a lot of interviews, and a lot of people have been talking about the fact that, hey, man, that in focus thing was really, really awesome, and it really puts you in a good light. So I'm like, oh, awesome! I gotta get to see this thing and see what everyone's talking about.
Well, it shows how hard you're working and how much you want that title shot. And one of the things it shows is you picking up a tire and throwing it backwards over your head over and over again. So I just wanted to ask you, what is that about? What does that do for you?
Well, it definitely helps with, that was probably at the end of my workout. So, it helps with, one, mentally staying tough, having to still pick people up and still work on, controlling them and it works on conditioning. It works on the hits and the pop that you need to lift. And it works obviously on the suplex. If I have a really good suplex, that's one of my, top moves in wrestling. And if I get behind the guy, I get behind Georgi, I will put him on his neck and slash head because of, the training that I've done at the end of practices and at the end of fights. So, yeah, definitely, it helps with the condition, it helps with the mentality, it helps with the mind, it helps with the muscles.
There's no doubt if you lock that around Georgi, you're going to suplex him. But that's one of the things I was wondering about, actually, because he's well known for the submissions. He's got 13 out of 23 wins by submission, and you're well known for the wrestling. We established that the first time I talked to you when we talked about your collegiate career and being an All-American. So is it something that you worry about, that you're so dominant at the wrestling, but if you take him to the ground, he might go for a sub?
That's not something I worry about because that's something that everyone does to me in practice. That's something that I deal with every day. As I become more well-rounded and as I become, more a participant in a lot of big practices with a lot of big faces and a lot of big names, when I take people down and they know that the takedown's coming, the submission is very soon to follow, or the submission attempt is very soon to follow. And that's something that I've been prepared for. That's something that I see all the time. So it won't be anything new to me. If everybody's watched my last fight or my couple fights, I've been probably guillotined 6 or 7 times. And, everyone has paid and been punished for even attempting to try to choke me. So, I hope he does go for the guillotine as often as, he seems to be thinking that he will be. And I just win the position and then punish him and make him pay for the attempt on it. Because, I definitely feel like, you won't choke me, especially if there's, a championship possibly on the line, or if there's money on the line, or, I rarely tap in practice to, different submissions and things like that. So, you're definitely not going to get it at my most time of competing, especially on TV in California with, hundreds and millions of fans at home watching. I just won't be giving up a choke submission.
Just based on what I've seen from you on Bellator, it's not even that people are going to be able to get to you to get to a choke, because you got that hand speed as well, and you've got 3 TKO wins on Bellator television. So people who think they can get to you to get for a choke think that they're going to go to the ground with you and that maybe they'll get a chance at a submission. They got to get past your hands first.
Absolutely, and that's what I think that in this fight, Georgi he was completely preparing for the wrong fight. He's been wrestling off, and every picture that I see, and I've been stalking him. I stalk all the guys that I'm fighting. I stalk the big 35-pounders. I stalk the small 55-pounders. I stalk everybody in 145. So I've been stalking him. I've been a creeper on all his pages. I've subscribed to his YouTube page. I know Georgi better than Georgi might know Georgi. So I'm just all about understanding him, understanding his weaknesses, and understanding his strengths. And, I've been preparing for, a stand-up type of battle, and he's been preparing for a wrestling match. And, eventually I'll start to, work my wrestling in there, but initially I'm going to be looking to punch his head off.
Well, now you mentioned that you've been scouting everybody, and if you've been scouting Georgi, you probably saw his World Series fighting bout. So what did you think when he left Bellator, went over there, became a champion, and now he's coming back?
I don't know what it feels like, man. I know I don't really count other people's pennies. I watch them and I stalk them and I look at them, but their decisions are their decisions. I can't. A lot of people got to do what they got to do for their family and what's right for them. As I have just become a father of 8 months, my son's now at the point where he's just about to be walking. I think he's about 2 weeks from walking because he's standing up and squatting and trying to walk all the time. So, I'll make decisions for my family that I wouldn't have made 8 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago type of thing. So, when he's got to make those decisions, when he's going back and forth, that's just business and that's part of the game. A lot of people go from manager to manager or organization to organization. That just happens. And, I'm completely prepared for the fighter that he is today. I saw his fights before, but, I'm preparing for the best Georgi that they have to offer.
I know he's preparing for the best Bubba Jenkins that you can offer as well. So I think it's interesting that right now you're both in this position where he's coming off just having been a champion. You're on the quest to become a champion. And right now you're both that one fight away that whoever comes out on top could be the next in line to fight the winner of the main event with Pitbull and Strauss. So you're knocking on that door right now.
Absolutely, and I'm very happy about that because, I've worked extremely hard, and even if it's not after this fight or, if I win this fight and, they want me to fight somebody else, I just want to be prepared for every fight. If I'm in line for the title, I want to be prepared to be the world champion. I have to beat the champion to become the champion, and that's something that I'm wrapping my mind around. That's something that a mindset has not changed. That is something that, I'm willing to go after. I'm willing to work hard to get. And, I've never been afraid of the light. I've never been afraid of the hard work. And, this fight and all the fights coming up will prove that, will show that I'm built for this.
Now, would you have a preference out of the two? Strauss is more known for his wrestling and for grinding out decisions, and Pitbull is known for submissions and really being strong with his hands. So would you have a preference of either of those two after Friday?
Well, I would prefer to fight Pitbull because me and Strauss are good friends. But if it came down to it stylistically, I'd probably be a better matchup for Strauss because of the wrestling aspect and, things like that. But I would prefer to not have to fight a friend and fight a stranger in Pitbull. But, if we had to strategically make a plan and my son was like, hey, Daddy, who are we going to take the title from? And who gives us our best chance to win the title? I would say stylistically, the less dangerous of the two because of the wrestling and because that's what I'm good at and known for, it would be Daniel Strauss. But I would rather fight Pitbull.
It seems to be coming up a lot in MMA that friends are going to end up fighting friends and teammates are going to fight teammates. A lot of people right now are talking about Uriah Faber and TJ Dillashaw being a fight down the line. So is it just for, when it's money on the line, you got to feed your family, you don't worry about that? Or do you think that's going to continue to be a problem in MMA in the future?
I think, man, when it's so close as teammates and teammates, I think it's very personal, and, a lot of people see fighting as, this combative confrontation of, two people, but a lot of times it is strictly business. You know what you sign up for, you know what organization you're in, you know who's in that organization at your weight, so a lot of times it's about competing. When I fight people that I don't know, like at the Out of Nowhere and stuff like that, it's about winning the fight, but also beating them up, winning in spectacular fashion. If I was to fight a Daniel Strauss, it would be about winning the competition, winning the competition in the fight. I just like I'm with my brother. If we're both in our cars and we're at the red light, I'm going to beat him off the line. Not necessarily drive across the lane and crash him into the wall like I would a stranger if we were competing in a race car. But I would definitely want to beat him off the line. If I'm racing someone or running against someone, I definitely want to beat them and run. Just the same as if it's business. I want to beat them in the fight, but there's certain ways of beating someone that you can win friendly and you can win in a business before you have to cut them open and really try to take their head off as I would a stranger or somebody that they just put on my name on my hit list.
I understand that completely. So let me take a different tack here. You mentioned being a father for 8 months. So first of all, congratulations on that. And second of all, how do you find life is right now, balancing between training hard for fights and still being a father at the same time?
Oh man, it's been amazing. It's been everything that I've dreamed it would be because, I train hard. I bring my son to a lot of my practices and my workouts. So it really helps me train harder. He 11th rep on a set of 10. He's my extra lap on a mile that, just pushes me to the drive. Just hearing him laugh and to see him, really makes me want to go and drive for the best and be the best father and be the best fighter and be the best person and man that I can be. I really want to set that big example. I mean, this is a test. This is an exam of life that you can't get wrong. You have to ace this exam by being the father that, everyone expects you to be, that my wife expects me to be, that my mother expected me to be. And my father died when I was just 9 years old, so I didn't really have that father figure, and I know that I would be at a much better place had my father been here. Not saying that my mother she wasn't good enough or anything like that, but just knowing that my father would have helped me with just different decisions of being a man and different decisions of, life in general that my mother could not have taught me just by being a woman and him being a man. In certain circumstances, we are the same people. I carry my father's name, and he's somebody that I looked up to very heavily as I was growing up until the age of 9. And now I know that I'll be that father figure and I'll be that example for my son. So when I go in to train and when I go into work, I push it to the limit to let him know this is how you get it done, son. This is how you're supposed to work. This is what it's like to be a man. This is what it's like to love a woman. This is what it's like to love a father, to be a father, to love your family, to understand and provide for your family.
Speaking of that extra motivation you get from your son, now in that Bellator In Focus special, they showed how the training breaks you down, and one of the notes that the graphic put up on the screen during the special was that Bubba Jenkins receives daily medical attention to deal with, the injuries that he gets in training. So, of course, I'm not trying to ask you if you have any injuries and expose any weaknesses, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, this is something interesting to put in a special, and obviously you've got to have that extra motivation like you talked about to deal with it when you're feeling that kind of pain.
Absolutely. And, you, as a fighter, you deal with knocks on your shins, you deal with knocks on your elbows, you deal with knocks on your head from time to time. So, I mean, it's not something that each fighter doesn't know. That's not a secret in the sport of, this guy's getting banged up and this guy's not. Everyone, if you're training the way you're supposed to be training and you're going after a championship and you're going after being the better fighter, you're going to get banged up, you're going to get knocked up, you're going to get nudged around. So, it's just a part of taking care of the body and being prepared to, understand the sport that you're in, because it's not a cakewalk. This isn't tennis, this isn't baseball, where you can come in and show up at any shape you want. You have to be prime time, ready to go, and even between your ears, you have to be ready to go.
One other thing that you have to be ready for is, when you're facing a former champion, somebody that's already been there before, it's a whole different level. He's fought against a competition, at the same time, he's lost to the competition that you're trying to get to. He's lost the pit bull, you're trying to get the pit bull. So is there any extra that you take away from that, knowing that this guy's already been there once and been to the top of the mountain that you're climbing?
No, I don't take it away in a negative aspect. I just look at it as, like you said, he's where I want to be. So, I mean, if I don't win this fight, he literally has taken food off of my table. He's taken shoes and basketballs and footballs away from my son and for the future preference. So I just look at it as, you are where I want to be, and you are who I'm coming for. There is no other aim. My eyesights aren't on any other person but the guy that's in front of me, but the next fight, and I'm going to go after that full-fledged.
And one other thing from the special that I wanted to bring up, and something that I know from having talked to you previously, is that the special played up that sometimes people think you're cocky or think you're arrogant, but I say, and I said this to you before, I think it's natural confidence that you believe in yourself, you believe in your ability, and you work hard to achieve it. So do you think that people watching that special might get that impression that you're cocky, or are they gonna take away that you're a hard worker?
Well, I hope they take away that they're a hard worker, but I can't change the perception of what people think of me. I am borderline cocky. I do walk that line very thinly, because if you're not confident in this sport, if you're not confident in what you can do and what you can achieve, and you're just worried about what people think of you, you'll go in there and you'll get knocked out. And then that's a worse feeling than having people think that you are something that you're not. You know, I know who I am. I know the humbleness that I carry around. I know the people that know me know that I'm a good person. The people that know me know that I'll give my best socks to any kid on the street. I'll give my best shirt to any stranger that comes up and asks for me in the correct way. I stayed on, after I won nationals, I stayed until the lights were going out in the stadium before I left, after signing all the autographs that I can sign. I give back. I do the charity. So I know who I am as a person, and the people, what they think of me does not ever bother me, because I know that the people who love me and who care for me know that I'm a good person. I'm a great person. And if you look at that DVD, or you look at that, those epilogues that they have of me and things like that, and you see cockiness in there, then you're just seeing the wrong thing. It is a confidence that you have to have in this type of sport. Yeah, you can, I can probably tone it down, but then that's, again, not who I am. I'm a very confident person. I believe in myself. I believe in my work ethic. I believe in the coaches that are around me, and I believe in my training partners that have prepared me to be the person that I want to be as a fighter, as a person, and as a man.
And that confidence is showing through right now, and I'm sure it'll be there in the cage come next Friday, January 16th, from the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California. You'll be putting that confidence on full display. And as we start to wrap this up, I want to ask you, Bubba, what are your thoughts now that Bellator has gone from the tournament format and from the seasons of weekly shows to the monthly shows, a little bigger profile, a little more exposure? That's got to feel good right now, knowing that they can put the full focus on the guys that are going to be on TV, and you get that spotlight.
Absolutely. I think it's amazing. You know, it's a really big help for us fighters. It's a really big help for, you know, the people who really love the spotlight, who shine in the spotlight. You know, I love it. I think it's a great thing. Although I used to love the tournaments, coming from a wrestling background, I didn't mind, you know, having to go through the grind and the grit of beating, you know, the champions to become the champion. And, you know, that never bothered me. But, you know, it's a fighter first organization now that, you know, Bellator is really starting to show the light on the fighters and really starting to show the epilogues of them and things like that. So it's amazing. And I'm appreciative to be a part of this whole Bellator movement.
Do you have any message for Georgie? Any warning or anything that might be perceived as cocky, however you want to take it, whatever direction, anything you want to say to him as you get ready for next Friday?
I just hope he did not train in training camp for the wrong fight. I just hope he prepared correctly.
All right. And speaking of training camp, I want to give you the chance to mention, you know, training partners, shout out any sponsors, anything you'd like to give a plug for, as well as Twitter and social media.
My Twitter is @SinsurrJenkins, SINSURR Jenkins. My Instagram is Bubba_Jenkins. I have OGK&W as one of my sponsors. They're my clothing sponsor right now. TNT Management for this fight will be my managing group. This will be the last managing group that I have for this fight for the next year. I'm going to basically be just being advised and work on, you know, my own career, my own things. You know, and I'm just happy that Bellator really has taken this opportunity to give me this light, to give me the opportunity to come and win, and, you know, with Viacom behind them and everything that they have to offer. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And we're happy to see you fighting and being in such a high-profile position. And 4 straight wins, you're looking to reel off a 5th one. So I wish you all the best in the Bellator cage next Friday night on Spike TV. And it should be a fantastic fight. You and Georgi Karakhanyan tearing it up in the co-main event.
All right, my man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Thanks, Bubba. I appreciate the time. And thanks, Alex, as well, for connecting the call.
No problem.